I am deciding to do a book inventory of the books that I have currently that I want to go ahead and put on my TBR to be read sometime this year. I have a lot of things that don't go together, and I have one, two, three that are the same authors, and then there's four books that are set aside just for my own personal book club here in Minnesota where I meet up with some girls. So I'm going to start with the book club books first. The first one is The Guest You'd Kill to Be On, or get the guest list You'd Kill to Be On It by Lucy Foley. This is a Reese's Book Club book. We read the Crawdads, Where the Crawdads Sing, and that was an amazing book. So I thought for our book club, we could kind of stick with the Reese's Book Club books because they seem very interesting. I'm not sure what this is about. We have not read it yet. My book club hasn't met. But it also looks like The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley will be coming out soon as well. So that might be another one. Because if you look at the back of the book, it's got a reading group guide. It has questions. And it just is going to be a very short and very fast read. The second one I am thinking of bringing to the group is I Miss You When I Blink by Mary Laura Philpott, I believe. This one too also has questions in the back, so we can do a book club with the questions, and we usually get together and we have drinks and we socialize and we have snacks, and it's a really fun time. So I'm super excited to get that started again after the holidays. But the back of this one, it says Mary Laura Philpott thought she'd crack the code. Always be right and you'll always be happy. But once she'd completed her life's to-do list, job, spouse, house, babies, check, she found that instead of feeling content and successful, she felt anxious, lost, stuck in a daily grind of overflowing calendars, grueling small talk, and sprawling traffic. What's the worst failure, she wondered, smiling and staying the course, or blowing it all up and running away? So this seems like it's going to be really, really interesting. Kind of like, it sounds like she's not happy with her life. But yeah, as soon as I read this, I will do a review of it and let you know if our book club did it or not, and whether it's worth reading. The next one is Wife After Wife by Olivia Hayfield. This one too has questions in the back to help guide a group discussion. And it says, Master of the Universe Harry Rose is head of the Rose Corporation, number 18 on the Forbes Rich list, and recently married to wife number 5. But in 2018, his perfect world is about to come crashing to the ground. His business is in the spotlight, and not in a good way, and his love life is under scrutiny. Because behind a glittering curtain of lavish parties, gorgeous homes, and a media empire is a tale worthy of any tabloid, and Harry has a lot to account for. So it sounds like he may be in a lot of trouble with his business. He may be overliving his lifestyle. I'm not sure. This one sounds really interesting. And again, there's questions in the back if you would ever want to do a book study group with your friends in person. Another one by the Reese's Book Club is The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. This one is hardcover, and inside it says, before Owen Michaels disappears, he manages to smuggle a note to his beloved wife of 1 year. It says, protect her. So this here, just that one little sentence makes it sound super interesting. Some of the reviews on the back is a thrilling roller coaster of a novel. The smart, intimate exploration of love and family is the foundation of a beautifully constructed mystery filled with twists and turns. It is a must read. So it sounds like it's suspenseful. It sounds like it has to do with lovers and family. I'm super excited to read this. This here also will probably have questions in the back. My next one is by the author Rachel Hollis. I've had these on my TBR for years, just have never gotten around to it. The first one that she came out with is Girl, Wash Your Face. And this has to do with a little bit of how to stop saying yes all the time and start saying no to things. So I'm really excited to read this because I feel like I don't say no enough. So this is the first book that she wrote. And then the second book she wrote is Girl, Stop Apologizing, also by Rachel Hollis. I'm not sure what this one is about, but I'm sure it's on the same caveat as this one here. And it talks about how you can be independent and be an independent woman in today's world. So I'm super excited to read those. The next one, or the next two really, are from Stephen King. This is a genre I used to read. These two might be a DNF, I'm not sure. The first one is Full, Dark, No Stars by Stephen King. This is one of his earlier books. And it says, when her husband of more than 20 years is away on one of his business trips, Darcy Anderson looks for batteries in the garage. Her toe knocks up against a box under a work table, and she discovers the stranger inside her husband. So it sounds like it's a mystery, possibly a murder mystery. So I'm excited to see if this is a book that really interests me and I am able to finish it. The second one by Stephen King is The Institute. This one, the cover really caught my eye. It looks like it's very suspicious. The front of the cover is a train with, it looks like a little boy sitting in the train. And the back, it actually gives an explanation or a synopsis of the book. It says, the playground was surrounded by a chain link fence at least 10 feet high, and Luke saw cameras peering down at two of the corners. They were dusty, as if they hadn't been cleaned in a while. Beyond the fence, there was nothing but forest, mostly pines. Whatever the institute was, it was in the middle of an old growth forest, which meant in the middle of nowhere. As for the playground itself, Luke's first thought was that if there was ever a prison exercise yard for kids between the ages of 6 and 16, it would look exactly like this. So this one sounds really interesting as well. I'm excited to read that and see how that goes. This one here is the most beautiful. My Life with Prince by Maddie Garcia. This is a book having to do with Prince. This came out after he died. It says, everyone who knew this extraordinary man, friends, family, and fans, have their own stories to tell. This is my story, and I need to share it my own way, just as he shared it in his. I want to peel back the layers and let you know the man I loved, the good, the bad, the sad, and the beautiful. So I'm super excited to read this. Um, it's about Prince, and it looks like there's pictures in here, love letters. So I'm really super excited to read this. It may shine some light on Prince's life and the life he lived with Maddie Garcia. The next book is An Anatomy of Beasts by Olivia A. Cole. The front of the picture looks really interesting. It looks like it could have to do with ghosts or murder or, you know, devils, spirits, all different kinds of things. On the back here, it says, a thrilling journey filled with cool science, amazing monsters, and vivid characters that strikes the perfect balance of great storytelling and hard truth telling. And that is from Daniel Jose Older, who is a best-selling author in New York. But that's what he says about the book. I'm super excited to really see what it's about. If it has to do with monsters, the devil, ghosts, or if it's like medieval monsters. So this one sounds really interesting. The next one is by Elizabeth Strout. Anything is Possible. One of the reviews on the back says there is not a scintilla of sentimentality in the exquisite novel. Instead, it's in its careful words and vibrating silences. It offers a rare wealth of emotion, from darkest suffering to simple joy. So, I'm super excited to read this as well. It looks like it'll be a fast read. It's not very big at all. If I can find where this book is, I will link it in the description below. The next one is This Is How It Happened by Paula Stokes. This one looks really interesting. It's like she's sitting on a gravel road in a forest somewhere. On the back, it has a little synopsis. It says, everything that happened that night, but I can't even make the words come out of my mouth. I can't make the events of that night coalesce in my brain. Because if I do, if I say it, if I even think it, then there's no going back. There's no escaping. So that sounds really interesting. And I will be doing a book review of all of these books. And I will let you know if they're Grumpy Sunshine, or if they're enemies to lovers, or if there are any triggers in them. So the next one after that is Gale Force by Owen Luukkonen. I hope I said that right. It looks like it has to do with either a crabbing boat or a shrimping boat. It says an extraordinary tale that harkens back to the centuries-old fiction of the sea while retaining the knife-edge tension of a modern thriller. So this looks really interesting because I watch on TV the crabbing show Deadliest Catch, and it looked like it may have had something to do with that. If you see the ship here, there's a ship right here on the middle of the ocean. So I'm hoping it's something like that. I don't know. We'll read the book and we'll review that. The next one is The Dante Chamber by Matthew Perrell, who is also the author of The Dante Club. This here looked really interesting. It looked like it may be set over in London. And it's got an old fountain pen on the front. On the back here it says, working on a vast canvas, Mr. Pearl keeps this mysterious sparkling in erosion with this captivating brain teaser as his debut novel. He seems also to have put his life's work on the line in melding scholarships with mystery. So this sounds really interesting. So I'm super excited to read this. All right, on to the next one. This one is a really, really short one. And it looks like it might be on the version of YA. It says Love on Lexington Avenue, the Central Pack series. So there's more to this series, and it's by Lauren Lane. On the back it says there are no good men left in New York City. At least that's Claire's conviction after finding out her late husband was not the man she thought he was. Determined to rid her home of anything that reminds her of her cheating husband, Claire sets out to redesign her boring binge Upper East Side brownstone and make it something all her own. So that sounds really interesting. The other one in here is Passion on Park Avenue. So Love on Lexington Avenue and Passion on Park Avenue is part of the Central Pack series. I'm super excited to read this. It looks like she's got another series with 4 books in it. And we'll review that one. The next one is The Age of Light by Whitney Scherer. Pretty sure that's how you say it. I really picked this one up because it looked like a really interesting cover. It looks like maybe a loft or something in New York City or in Paris, somewhere really pretty. So I'm excited to read this one. The next one is Assassin's Run by Ward Larson, I believe. He has also made 4 other ones called Assassin's Game, Assassin's Silence, and Assassin's Code. So I'm super excited to read this. It looks like it's a thriller. And I hope it's a fast read. I hope it's super, super interesting. And like I said again, I will... Oh, excuse me. After I read all these, I will do a book review on each one. The next one is The Death Messenger. It is a thriller by Mari Hanna. She's also the author of The Silent Room. On the back here it says, very creepy, read it on your commute, and you'll be looking over your shoulder all the way. So this sounds really interesting. It sounds like it has to do with a disappearance and an investigation. It sounds just really interesting. It sounds more like a mystery thriller than anything else. The next one is August and Everything After by Jennifer Salvato Doktorsky. This one looked really interesting. On the back, she also has a book called The Summer After You and Me. It just looked like it would be really romantic, and it looks like it could be on the beaches of California, maybe. And it looks like it could be young adult. So I'm excited to read that one. These next 2 are by the same author. The Dark Beneath the Ice, and Here There Are Monsters. So I'm super excited to read this. It's by Amalinda I can't pronounce that last name. I'll let you guys try and figure it out. And so these looked really interesting. This looks like it may have to do with murder or a mystery maybe uncovering some stories or some hidden secrets. And this one here, on the front, it says, "They took my sister, I'll take her back." The front of this is what really got me. It looked like maybe it has to do and surround with maybe a wedding or a costume party, but maybe it also has to do with death because of the skull that she's using instead of an actual mask. So I'm super excited to read these two. The next one is The Other Mother by Carol Goodwin. It sounded interesting to me. It looks like possibly there is one mother and there is someone else that's trying to replace the original mother. So I'm really, really excited to read this one. This one here is called H2O by Virginia Bergen. And it sounds like it has to do with something about acid rain. Maybe all the stuff that's happening to the planet. So I'm super excited to read this. I got this a while ago. Believe it or not, I got it at Dollar Tree. So if that's not a place you shop for books, maybe try it out. They have very different books than what you would ever find in a bookstore, and they're only $1.25. Win-win. The next one is by Fiona Neal. It's called The Betrayals. Sometimes there are four sides to a story. Which one do you believe? This just looks really, really interesting. What caught my eye is it said that there are four sides to every tale. Because as we all know, the saying is there's two sides to every story. Well, when this one said that there was four, I'm like, that's got to be really interesting. That's more than like a love triangle or something else. So I'm super excited to read this one and see what this is about. This one is part of a series. This is the second book after The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. This is called The Testaments. So this has to do with what happened after The Handmaid's Tale and the ending there, and it goes into this book. So I'm super excited to read this, to kind of see what happened after the ending of the book for Handmaid's Tale. I'm super excited to read that. This one here, I do believe has to do with a kidnapping. And it's Before You Go by James Preller. This one just seemed like really interesting. The stuff like kind of caught my eye. And so I'm hoping it's a mystery thriller or a murder mystery or maybe ghost discovery or something. So I'm super excited for this book. I really, really want to read that. My next one is She Lies in Wait by Jitha Lodge. I believe that's how you say her name. This one sounds really, really interesting. It says, the mystery, intrigues, and twists, offering enough red herrings and moments of police procedural to please fans of the genre. So it sounds like it could have to do, it has to do with camping in a forest. Somebody goes missing, and it's back in 1983 is when it's set. So I'm super excited to read this. The front of the book caught my attention because it looks like that they're having a campfire out in the woods, so like they're camping, with friends, having a good time, maybe after a football game, whatever the scenario is. I'm super excited to read this and do a book review on it. The next one is by James Patterson. He is not typically a reader that I read, but our second book in my book club book was The Horsewoman by James Patterson, and that one was amazing. This one here is called Escape. This one looks more of a thriller. The Horsewoman was more of a enemies to lover or forbidden love. And it had to do with being on a horse ranch, and the rider was falling in love with the stable boy, who was also Mexican. So, and she's riding because her mother got hurt and couldn't ride. So that one was really, really interesting. This one looks more of a thriller, so I'm super excited to read this. When I read the other one, it read super, super fast, and so this will be a really good book to read. The next one is kind of a really long title. I'll have what she's having. How Nora Ephron's 3 iconic films saved the romantic comedy. So this is a rom-com. So I'm super excited about that. And it looks like maybe it's set in New York City. And they're talking about flavored Kool-Aid and behind the scenes story. So this sounds interesting. And it looks like it may have a little drama in it. So I'm excited to read this. This is way out of my genre of what I normally read, so I hope I like it. Again, a book review to come. This one sounded super interesting to me because I'm really into history. It's The Assassination of Margaret Thatcher Stories by Hilary Mantel. And so, Margaret Thatcher was alive, I believe, way back in the 1800s. So I'm super excited to read this. It looks like it's going to be a really fast read, because the chapters are not, you know, how like the stuff you read, it usually goes from the top of the page to the bottom. That is not how it is in this book, it looks like. So it's going to be a really fast read, and it's going to be something that I can go through really, really quick. The next one is The Echo Room by Parker Peavyhouse. This one here, it looks like either, just from looking at the cover, it looks like somebody has maybe been kidnapped, held against their will, or maybe it's what they call a panic room, where if it breaks into your house, you have a panic room that stays locked until the police get there. So this one looked really, really interesting to me. I'm excited to read this one as well. The next one is A Flicker in the Clarity by Amy McNamara. The front of the book just caught my eye. It just looked so fun with all of the colors, and it just looks like it would be a fast read, so I'm super excited to read this one as well. The next one is The Walls by Holly Overton. This looked kind of interesting, like maybe it has to do with somebody's backyard, or, you know, some institution possibly where somebody escaped. So I'm super excited to read this as well. This one has been on my TBR since her passing. I'm so excited to read this. She's one of the reasons that I've wanted to become an attorney. It's called My Own Words by Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So this is an autobiography, and it's about her life. And I've watched a movie based on her life, and she's lived an absolutely amazing life. I'm so excited to read this and see more stuff in detail of her life and her struggles and what she's gone through with her husband and children. I'm so, so excited to read this one. The next one was kind of deceiving. It is by Zolje Stage, and it's called Baby Teeth. Now, the front of it, just by looking at the front, it looks like it could have to do with maybe helping you eat better, or it's a self-help book. It's not. On the front, it says, sweetness can be deceptive. And so, I'm excited to read this. It looks like it may be an enemy to lover trope. As soon as I read it, I am going to do a book review of this one as well. I'm really excited to read this to see what it's about, because the cover to me was extremely deceiving. So, the next one is Out in the Open by Jesus Carrasco. This one looked really interesting. It just looked like kind of like a Picasso painting, just kind of thrown together on the book page here. It talks about heroism and a human reminder of grace. So I'm excited to read this to see what it's about. And this is small compared to these other books. You see that? See how small that is compared to the other books? I hope it's a really fast read. I'm super excited to read this. And then the next one is What My Sister Knew by Nina Loren. And she's also the author of Girl Last Seen. I'm super excited about this book. It says on the back that I look up at the TV screen and the face of my twin brother splashed across it life-size. It's a shock that makes my breath catch. This is my brother as an adult, my brother whom I last saw 15 years ago after the fire that killed our parents. Covered in soot, clutching a lighter in his hand, his knuckles stark white against the dirt and the ash. The cover is what got me, but oh my goodness. Just reading that, it sounds like he killed their parents. Super, super excited to read this to see if that's the truth or not, or if it was something else and she's been wrong all this time. So I'm super, super excited to read this. Is like a family reunion trope types of thing from what I've read. So I'm super excited to read this. The next one is The Museum of Us by Tara Wilson Redd. The cover is what got me. It looks like there's a couple that's going to heaven, and they're learning different things about possibly their past or their family. So I'm really excited to read this to see what it's about. My next one is The Other Sister by Sarah Zettel. This one here looked really interesting, and I wonder what it meant by the other sister. So I'm excited to read this one. And my last stack is by John Grisham. I'm going to go through these super fast because John Grisham is murder mystery, lawyer murder mystery, or enemies to lover tropes, and it's got a lot of different stuff in his books. So the first one is The Whistler by John Grisham. The next one is The Boys from Biloxi by John Grisham. The next one is The Appeal by John Grisham. The Litigators by John Grisham. The Reckoning by John Grisham. The Guardians. And The Testament. This one here is an older book, one that he wrote quite a few years ago. These other 4 here are ones that are more recent in the last couple of years. John Grisham is one of my favorite authors. He's got a little bit of everything in it. He talks about a big city girl going to a small town where there's no internet and nothing else, and all the locals try and make her feel welcome. Then he throws in the fact that there's a murder. Then he throws in the fact that it involves attorneys or paralegals of attorneys, and it always has a plot twist with it. So he kind of throws a little bit of everything in his books, and he does really, really good, and they're really, really, really fast reads. So I'm super excited to read all of these books, and I will link what I can below. If you guys have any other books of any of these genres, or if you've read any of these, put them in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. And I will see you in my next video.